Hey everyone, and welcome, future doctors. Today, we're jumping into a super important chapter from your Class 11 biology, the living world. We're going to figure out how on Earth scientists name and organize every single living thing. So, you ready? Let's get right into it. So, first up, take a look at this number, 1.7 to 1.8 million. Any guesses what that is? Well, that is the incredible number of species that we humans have managed to find and give a name to so far. It's a huge, huge number, and it just keeps on growing. And that leads us straight to a golden line, and I mean word for word, from your NCERT textbook. This massive variety of life is called biodiversity. You've got to remember this exact definition, the number and types of organisms present on Earth. Seriously, they can ask questions directly from lines just like this one. Okay, so here's the big problem we need to solve. A mango is called in Hindi, but something totally different somewhere else, right? With millions of species, how can scientists in different countries possibly know they're talking about the exact same animal or plant? It would be total chaos. Well, luckily, there's a really smart solution to all this confusion, and it's our first big topic for today, nomenclature. So what in the world is nomenclature? It's basically just a standardized system for naming things. It makes sure that a particular organism has one single scientific name that's recognized all over the world. So a scientist in India and a scientist in America can talk about the same plant and know exactly what the other is saying. No more confusion. Now, the system we actually use is called binomial nomenclature. Let's break that down. Bi means two, and nomen means name. So it's a two-part naming system. And the person we have to thank for this brilliant idea, the one, the only Carolus Linnaeus. You absolutely have to remember his name for your exam. All right, so theory is great, but how does this two-part name thing actually work? Let's get practical. We're going to walk through the universal rules using the most famous example from your NCERT book, the good old mango. And here it is. The scientific name for mango, Mangifera indica. Now, you might also see Lin written at the end. What's that about? Well, it's just a short form for Linnaeus, the guy who first gave it this name. It's kind of like giving credit to the author. Now listen up, because every single scientific name follows 4 golden rules. And trust me, these rules are a favorite for MCQs, so you need to know them inside and out. Okay, let's map these rules onto Mangifera indica. Rule 1, the names are from Latin, which is why they sound a bit formal. Rule 2, the first word, Mangifera, is the genus. The second word, indica, is the species. Rule 3, see how it's typed in italics? That's a must. And here's a super important point. If you write it by hand, you have to underline Mangifera and indica separately, not one long line, but 2 separate ones. That's a classic trick question. And finally, Rule 4, the easiest one to spot. The genus starts with a capital M, and the species starts with a small I. Easy peasy. So you think you've got it? I bet you do. Let's put that to the test right now with a quick question, just like one you might see on your NEET paper. Okay, take a good look at these 4 options. Which one follows all the rules we just went over? Pay really close attention to the capitals and the italics. I'll give you a second to think. And the correct answer is C. It's the only one that checks all the boxes. It's italicized, the genus starts with a capital, and the species starts with a lowercase letter. A has the wrong capitals, B capitalizes both words, and D isn't in italics. See, you have to be a detective and check every single rule. Awesome. So we've cracked the code on naming. That's nomenclature, but just giving names to millions of species isn't enough. We have to organize them too. I mean, imagine a giant library with millions of books just thrown in a pile. That's where our next big idea comes in, taxonomy. So taxonomy is basically the science of classification. We look at an organism's features and then group it into convenient categories. It's something we do naturally, right? We put animals into groups like dogs, cats, or insects. Well, the proper scientific word for any of these categories is taxa. So how does a scientist do taxonomy? It's a 4-step process, and the order is super important. First, you study the organism's features. That's characterization. Then you figure out what it is. That's identification. Next, you group it with similar organisms. That's classification. And finally, you give it that official 2-part name. That's nomenclature. A great way to remember the order is, can I classify now? CICN. Okay, let's make sure that new word is locked in. Another quick quiz. What do we call those scientific categories, like plants or mammals? If you picked B, taxa, you are spot on. And remember, taxa can be big or small. Animals is a taxon. Mammals is a smaller taxon inside animals. And dogs is an even smaller taxon inside mammals. Makes sense, right? All right, we've got naming, which is nomenclature, and we've got organizing, which is taxonomy. Now it's time to zoom out and look at the whole big picture, and that's called systematics. And this table here makes the difference super clear. Think of it like this. Taxonomy asks, what are you and which box do you fit in? But systematics asks a much deeper question. It asks, who's in your family tree? Who are your ancestors? And how are you related to everyone else? So basically, systematics is just taxonomy plus evolution. And here we are again with a must-know golden line from NCERT. This is the main takeaway. Systematics is all about those evolutionary relationships. The moment you see that phrase in a question, your brain should immediately light up and think systematics. Whew, we've covered a ton of key info. So let's do a super fast, high-speed recap of everything you absolutely need to remember for your exam. If you want to take a screenshot, now is the time. All right, here we go. Biodiversity, 1.7 to 1.8 million species. Nomenclature, the two-part naming system from Linnaeus. The key rules, Latin, italics, genus with a capital, species with a small letter. Taxonomy, the science of classifying, and the steps are CICN. Taxa, the scientific word for categories. And finally, systematics, that's taxonomy plus evolutionary history. Got it? Awesome! So I'll leave you with this final thought. We know the how now, how we name things, how we organize them, but start thinking about the why. Why does putting a lion and a tiger in the same genus Panthera help us understand the incredible story of evolution? That's where the magic really happens. Keep asking those big questions, keep studying hard, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.